Ninjani? Tamaning. Jama pula na ko na kana mo. Hakimaboni. Pala na ko Mashego. Okay, as they already introduced me, Kimna Claude Mashego. I was class of 2015, Orhovelani. So yeah, this is my first time Gitlamo ever since that year because I was traumatized. So my topic is mental health. I'll be talking to you guys about mental health, and before Kiahule, I have a favor to ask of you. So when I was auditioning for Miss Mpumalanga, I told them that I'm a very good public speaker, and I told them that I'm good at engaging a crowd. But I read somewhere to prove what you are able to engage a crowd, children or youth. So now they are filming this, it's live, so please, I need you guys to interact with me, or you are able to speak. Can we agree on that? All right. So before I go deep into this, I just want to say thank you to Benny. I know he's very humble and sometimes he refuses the compliments, but really he's one person who's always pushing me all the time. Sometimes I wonder everywhere they say there's a young person that's needed, that's female, Benny always puts my name first, and he always pushes me to rise to the challenge. Some of the things, I don't even know what he sees in me, I don't know but with the way he sees me, I clearly nagi that thing. So I just want to say thank you for always seeing my potential and for always pushing me to do better. All right. So I got para my sesh today. The reason for that is a lot of times we look at the titles and we use them to intimidate people. Okay? Or we want to feel important because we're having all these titles. Yes, I'm a medical student, I'm with this. But today, Kitlemo, as much as, yes, in my capacity as Miss Mpumalanga, but I'm also here as a former learner ya Orhovelani. So I'm speaking to you not as the mighty Miss Mpumalanga or medical doctor, whatever, but I'm coming to you as someone who was where you are and who knows exactly what you're going through and knows the pressure that you have to perform because Orhovelani is known for being great. You understand? I was always number one in the top 10 from grade 8 to 12. And it might seem easy to some people, but it came with a lot of pressure. All the time you're told, yeah, province number one, you understand the pressure. And that also took a toll on my mental health. So that is why I'm very passionate about mental health, because I know what it's like to be where you are. I know what it's like to be a teenager and be battling with mental health. Fortunately for me, the part that was affected by that phase of my life was not my academics. So to everyone, I looked like I was okay, I was doing good, always number one, I was happy on everything. People just didn't know I was struggling deep down. I was depressed most of the time throughout that year. Some days I struggled also studying. The one thing that helped me was that I have a very photographic memory and I remember things. So if you stand in front of me and you teach me something, I will remember it for as long as possible, you understand? That was in my favor, but I'm going to study, it was a struggle to concentrate. So people didn't see it on the outside, but it was a battle that I was facing inside. And that's the thing about mental health. People don't really know where you are, they don't really understand what you're facing, because sometimes, most of the time actually, you can't even explain it or put it in words, but you know where you are. And at that time, I didn't even know what I was facing that time was depression. I only found out when I started doing medicine and I'm learning about this, and I'm like, oh, actually, I've been here before. You understand? So my aim today is to teach you about mental health, and the most common ones amongst teenagers, it's depression and anxiety. And then also to help you, you must be able to identify yourself. You can't get help. You can't say, ma'am, I'm struggling, if you don't even see you're struggling. So it starts with you being aware of where you are mentally and emotionally, so that you are able to reach out to other people, be it your parents, be it your friends or anyone, and say, here I am struggling and I need your help, right? So how mental health ties in with today's theme, leadership and mentorship. One of my favorite speakers, Lisa Nichols, Ari, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And if you do happen to pour, maybe your cup is full with something else. You're pouring out whatever is in your cup, right? So if it's sadness, if it's hurt, if it's depression that's in your cup, that's what you're going to give out. Ne? You can't give happy vibes, you can't give joy, you can't give anything if you don't have it in you. That's why it's so important, because if we are preparing you and saying we want to mentor you for you to be our future leaders of South Africa, we have to start from within, because the leader is you. It's an individual. Before you are president, before you are premier, before you are a doctor, you are a nurse, whatever profession you go into, you are an individual. And it's important for us to recognize that part. Again? So I want us to do a little exercise. Ne? So I'm going to ask you questions. Ne? And then in me asking questions, everyone, please close your eyes. Ne? And then if you answer yes to the question or you relate to the question, you lift up your hand. Ne? So just a trial. Can you all close your eyes? Teachers, everyone, please close your eyes. I'm the only one who's allowed to have eyes open. Everyone, okay. So this is an example. Ne? If you ate pap yesterday, please lift up your hand. Keep your hand up, keep eyes closed. If you ate feeding scheme today, Moskolong, lift up your hand. Right. If you are either in grade 11 or grade 12, lift up your hand. Eyes closed. And then you can open your eyes. Keep your hands up, keep your hands. So this is basically what the exercise is going to be. Ne? I'll be asking you questions. Everyone closes their eyes, and then if you relate to the question or whatever I'm saying, then you lift up your hands. And then at the end of the round, I'll ask you all to open your eyes, still your hands up, and then I want you to see something. Okay? Can you please cooperate? Everyone close your eyes. Ne? I can see you. Okay. So if you've ever felt like you're not pretty enough, lift up your hand. If you've ever felt like you are always the last, or you're not good enough in anything you do, please lift up your hand. If you've ever been asked, maybe in class or in any setting, to stand up and speak, and you felt like you're afraid to lift up your hand. Right? If you know that you are good at something, but you never do it because you're afraid of what other people think, lift up your hand. Eyes closed, guys. So if you've lifted your hand in any part of this, please lift it up. All of you who've lifted your hands in any part of the questions, right? Okay, I can't see your hands, guys. Lift them up. Close your eyes. Everyone. I know people are not lifting their hands, but I saw your hand was up at some point. All right? Okay, open your eyes, but still keep the hand up. I want you to look around you. Do you see how many people have their hands up, including yourself? Okay, the next part. Close your eyes again, hands down. If you've ever laughed at someone because of something they had no control over, lift up your hand. Eyes closed. Right, okay. Eyes closed, guys. Okay? And then, if you have ever made someone cry, lift up your hand. And don't lie. Right. Okay. The next part. Falan, eyes closed. If you have ever been made fun of, whatever, lift up your hand. And okay? And then, if you have ever cried or felt like never coming to school because or whatever, lift up your hand. Okay, so in this section, at any point in this section, lift up your hand. Eyes still closed. Lift up your hand. Okay, open your eyes and then look around. My point in this exercise is, as I was saying, I want to help you identify. So the first set of questions had to do with self-esteem and confidence, okay? And I wanted to show you what people might look like they are the most confident or you know, all of these things, but we are all battling at some point, especially as a teenager. That's where the peak of your struggle with self-esteem and self-confidence is, right? So I wanted you guys to see all of you are facing the same struggles. Maybe I'm being got the same question, but at some point in the questions I was asking, which are all related, do you get me? And then the second set of questions was around bullying, right? I used like a mild thing like and everything like that, but there's severe forms of bullying. It comes in different ways. I just wanted to show you at some point. Hello? I just wanted to show you.
All right.
Okay. I just wanted to show you guys, we've all at some point been bullied, ne? We've all at some point bullied someone, ne? And for me, one of the features that I was frequently bullied over is just that today it won't show properly, but yeah, I have quite a big forehead. Ne? If you go look for me on social media, you will see my forehead. It's there, it's present. And that's something I've always wished I could hide. At some point, I was Googling if there was procedures that can be done to implant hair. At least this forehead can go away. But I realized that that's something I can't change. You understand? I've been bullied for being skinny and all of these things. My skinniness won me Miss Mpumalanga, so it became something. You understand? So whatever it is that you are being bullied on, whatever it is that you feel you don't like about yourself, I want you to remember this. That at any point, whenever you decide, it will become a strength. At any point. Right now, I use my forehead as like a joke because amongst my friends. But I believe everything that I do on my head and everything that I do on my face, whatever, Sanfanela because of that forehead. I don't care what you say, I believe Sanfanela because of it, right? And it's a decision that I made. I'm gonna stop looking at this as something that I want to change, but I'm gonna look at it as it's a feature that's prominent. That's the first thing people usually notice about me, and it's what makes me beautiful. Ne? So draw your confidence from that. Look at the things look at the things that you feel uncomfortable about. Be it because some of your friends are curvy and you are not, all of these things. But the reality is, because I'm not that curvy, I can fit into anything I want to wear. I don't ever struggle to buy jeans because of that. It's a bonus, you understand? So whatever it is that is negative in front of you can turn to a positive thing once you change your perspective and start looking at it in a different way. And it's all up to you. I can preach all I like about self-esteem and loving yourself and loving your body, but the big part is on you. What do you decide, right? Do you decide to take what I say and start loving yourself? Or do you just go with what seems like is on trend? And an example I can give you is, at some point, skinny girls were regarded as like the pretty, right? And if you had to be skinny and light-skinned to be the pretty girl, right? But now things have changed. We're embracing dark-skinned girls now. We're embracing more curvy girls. And that's what happens. Society and social media sells you one thing right now, and then comes back a few years later and tells you that thing is not good enough and sells you something else. And the thing that they told you was good enough back then is no longer now good enough. So then you can't rely on society, you can't rely on social media to tell you who you are or to tell you how beautiful you are. Ne? And we've seen with the girl Lufuno from Venda, who committed suicide. I think she's 15 years old. Me won't on social media she was trending. Ne? The suicide started. It started after a video of her abaying one-on-one ashkolwin trended on social media. It was trending. She couldn't face everyone because and social media. She committed suicide. Right? So I want you to realize your actions sometimes and then stand, but you don't know where a person is. Some of you here, I just didn't get to that part, but some of you at some point have contemplated taking your own lives, right? Some of you at some point, but Kaya, it's tough. maybe kaya balokulwen batsari or whatever is going on. I was that child. I was in grade 12 when my family was in shambles. There was a lot of drama happening at home, but people couldn't see that because I'm a bubbly person, I'm a happy soul. Academically, I was doing well, but I was struggling. You understand? I attempted suicide right after June exams. Do you understand? I was doing so well. They will tell you. I was doing 100% well. Position number 1, if I get number 2, it's because they made a mistake on my mark. You understand? I was very consistent in that. But I was suffering in silence to a point where I attempted suicide. I overdosed in medication. So guys, be aware of where you are, but not just for yourself, for the others, your fellow learners. Me wonder when you lifted up your hands, go, as much as you don't know the next person or your friend even could have tried to commit suicide or is thinking about doing it because of something that's happening. Or they are not okay right now, but at home, guys, and you laughing at a person or you making fun of a person or you bullying a person could be the last push they need to finish whatever they thought they wanted to do. And for me, I believe that girl, Lufuno, there were things that she was going through personally, and that bullying episode was just the last straw that was required to push her to the limit, and she ended up committing suicide. So you don't want to have that weight on your shoulders. You can imagine what that girl is going through right now. She led to someone ultimately committing suicide successfully. You don't want to be that person, right? And now, as much as we talk about, yes, bullying is wrong and all of these things, I want us to start thinking about it this way. Remember I said earlier, you pour whatever is in your cup, right? So, lokomono arna, bitterness, arna, a lot of hurt and everything, that's what they're going to give out, right? And just sometimes, even scientifically proven, bullies a lot of times, actually 100% of the time, they have their own issues, maybe family issues or whatever that they have they're dealing with, and they try to project those issues onto other people. Ne? If they have self-esteem issues, they have to project those self-esteem issues to you. If I feel like I'm not pretty, then I'm going to look at someone else and tell them how unpretty they are or how ugly they are or whatever, so that I can feel better about myself. One just says, that's what usually happens. It's a cycle of hurt people, hurting people. So when you see a bully, who's bullying who does what? Ne? Look at it this way, that is a hurt person that is channeling all their hurt and anger to the wrong people. And you should be able to see the hurt in those people. That's where empathy comes in. Ne? You are seeing yourself and you are seeing the other person for what is behind the mask, for what is behind the happy face that they're portraying, the good academics that they're putting out there. Ne? So I'm going to share with you some of my coping mechanisms, right, that I had. First thing, one thing that kept me, after the first and only suicide attempt that I had in 2015, was my drive, my motivation. I'm very ambitious. I am one person, I do not believe you can box me into saying you are an academic in Tatamakwalani, no. If I feel like waking up and being a model, I'll be that. If I feel like waking up and being a talk show host, I'll do that. If I feel like waking up and being this, I will do that. I'm that person, and I believe that God gave me all the talents that He gave me so that I could use them. And what happens is that usually you are told, there's this phrase, Yako, don't be a jack of all trades and master of none, that I feel like people are misquoting, right? I always say I'd rather be a jack of all trades but master of none, because then I would have explored everything that God has given me, even if it doesn't work. And that's the thing, it doesn't have to work for you to have tried it. If you want to do it, go into music while you're studying, go into it. If you want to go into modeling, go into it. And for me, that helped me because I'm very uncomfortable about the idea of and by Chumu, I mean, I want 50 years, 100 years down the line, like Tata Nelson Mandela, when people speak of my name, even people who don't know me, but don't know me. You understand? That's what drives me every day. Even when I don't feel like waking up, I'm like, if you die now or you give up now, what are you going to be remembered for? Just that girl who was here and lived and passed matric and that's it. Like up to now, I don't have any other qualification to my name except my matric certificate. right? So I'm fighting to get my qualification now to have at least another paper. You understand? I'm fighting to be known for my works. So find what drives you, find what motivates you. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What legacy do you want to leave behind? La Orhovelani, Logo Farmer, what do you want your teachers to remember you by? And believe you me, in your days of feeling depressed and not wanting to wake up and not wanting to study, it will keep you awake. It will bother you so much that you will study. Ne? Number two, because of that drive, I would write my vision down. That's why I have a lot of these things. Like kuna my personal one, because I'm a writer. I realize I work best when I write my feelings down, when I write my plans down, and all of these things. And sometimes when you write your vision, when you write your dreams down, on those days when you feel down and you feel out, right? It helps, and it will motivate you to push on, right? Because it happens, yeah. And then other coping mechanisms that you can try, like I said, mine is journaling. I love singing, so yeah, whenever I feel like it, I'll just sing and play music loud. And then other people like sports, right? Go into sports, do whatever you can do to keep yourself busy and so that you cope. Exercise is good for you, by the way. So if you're good in sport, good for you. If you're good at dancing, good for you. I'm not, but yeah, you get the point. And then reading. I've realized that what reading did for me, apart from just me gaining knowledge, I read everything that I can find, was I learn more about, I relate to characters. If I'm reading a novel, I start relating to this character because I can see myself in these things. And I was able to diagnose myself with certain things from reading that, because I'll be reading about a story, or whoever, and whatever's happening in her life, and I realized, I was like this person, or I am like this person, she is me, you understand? And eventually I realized, because through the book or whatever, they will tell you, this person ended up with this condition or this whatever, then you know, okay, something like this is called this. So read, guys, read everything you can find and just make sure that you know. And as much as we don't have enough facilities to be talking about mental health and bringing you all the help you need, the professionals that you need, but sometimes you can help yourself just by reading. If you read an article on depression and then they tell you exercise is good and they give you tips on what you can do, then you are helping yourself. And then the last thing in the coping mechanisms was learning to be comfortable with your own thoughts and your own space. Because if you are not comfortable with your own space enough that you learn about yourself and you figure out, how do I think, why do I think the way I do, then you are unable to share whatever it is to the next person. I can't tell you, I'm feeling depressed and I'm feeling this if I haven't admitted it to myself. So it comes from that. And then if you need help, contact your teachers, even sharing it with your friend, and just make sure that you get the help that you need. Don't suffer in silence. And remember that the same way Dr. Matthew was talking about, we must have a vision, right? Mental health requires you to have a vision. You must see yourself as this healthy person, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and in all of these things. Then you can start taking action steps on how to get to that point where you are that person that you dream to become. But if you don't have that goal, you don't have that vision for your own mental health, then you're not going anywhere. Then you can't be a leader. That's when you have these grumpy bosses and these grumpy people that you bump into everywhere. You understand that nobody wants to be around. So love yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've committed against yourself and others, and extend the same forgiveness to others. And Dr. Matthew also mentioned respect, because a lot of mental health has to do with loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and respecting yourself, right? And that means if you respect your body, you respect yourself, you are not going to be engaging in unprotected sex, right? If you love yourself, respect yourself, you are not going to be taking drugs or drinking alcohol or doing all these things, right? So it all comes from how you see yourself, how you love yourself, and how you value yourself, right? And lastly, let's not neglect the Patya spirituality, because I realized that a lot of my making it through that phase of my life, and through adversity for that matter, is my anchor in God, right? SG Harold spoke about prayer. I believe in prayer. I believe in reading my Bible, and that has kept me. Sometimes I'd feel down and I'd just pray like, God, I don't know. There's no formula to this praying thing. I know a lot of times we Christians make it seem like there's a specific way that you pray, right? But prayer is just you communicating to God and communicating whatever you want to say. So practice that. Spirituality is a vital part of mental health because it makes up the whole thing. If you neglect your spiritual side, then your mental health is not balanced, right? So keep well and take care of yourself, take care of others, and be able to identify your fellow friends who don't seem like they will. And ask your friends, how are you? How are things at home? Ne? Because end of the day, we are each other's support system. Let us be that support system. And we know that as girls, since it's Women's Month, we know that the world is always against us and fighting us. There's always something about a woman that people want to criticize, right? And it has been taught to us over generations that we must fight each other. So I want to challenge you guys to stop this thing of fighting amongst yourselves as girls and realize that you are your sister's keeper, right? Look on the light and I see my sister's hair is not on point. I shouldn't laugh at her. I should advise her, okay, I think you can do your hair like this to keep it together. So that's just a mild example, but I'm just saying it's time that we come together and we support each other as women and stand strong and fight everything that is against us. When gender-based violence, when everything, we can only conquer these things once we support each other and know that we are each other's keepers. All right, thank you.